Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Today is a wrap-up day, a weekly wrap-up day, and I actually have 17 books to talk about. It was a holiday weekend for me. I had Monday off because of the 4th of July here in America, and that being said, I was able to get a lot of reading done. There was, I did end my historical romance readathon like a day early, but I still ended up reading a lot of historicals this week because I was just on a kick, and I'm not mad about it at all because it was a wonderful kick to be on. So yeah, before we dive in, if you enjoy watching these weekly wrap-ups and you'd like to have more content, if you're not subscribed, why not? I put up about 3 to 4 videos per week with recommendations, wrap-ups like this, and we just have a great old time. If you already subscribed to this channel and you would like even more of me, make sure you check out channel memberships down below. There is a lot of options that, you know, get us more time together. And it'll be great and everything. So one other little announcement and then we'll dive into this. I have set up another author interview, which will actually be coming out before the Sophie Lark one. So let me scooch over. So there's room. On July 31st, Maggie Cole is going to be on my channel. Yay! We'll be talking about her newest release, which will be part of the Mafia Wars, as well as playing some games with her and hanging out. And we'll have Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life and Tori from Novel Life will be here with us. And I'm so excited. So make sure you check your calendars. Or mark your calendars, and we're gonna have a great time and catch up on Mafia Wars if you can. The first 4 are out right now. Okay, so I read 17 books, like I said, and I actually had 3 6-star reads in there. I have been getting lucky with the 6 stars, guys, and it's great. The first one we're gonna start with is actually a reread. I should have grabbed it down, but I didn't. I reread Broken Vow on audio. Yes, I just can't go a week without a Sophie Lark, apparently. The audio was released for this on July 1st, I believe, and it has one of my favorite narrators, Wen Ross, and then JP Morgan did Riona and Raylan, and it was absolutely wonderful. It was still a 6-star read. It still made me cry. It was absolutely beautiful. The first 5 books in the Brutal Birthright are available this way on audio, so I highly recommend that you read those and, you know, catch up for my interview with Sophie Lark, which is going to be on August 7th, the week after the Maggie Cole one. So guys, things are happening. I'm so excited about it. Let's tip this down just a little bit more of me. It's still pretty early on Saturday, so I'm needing my caffeine right now. I splurged and bought a new Starbucks cup, and I don't regret it because it's beautiful. Okay, then I read The Feeder by Courtney Leigh. This was a book that I got for free on Amazon. I don't know if it's still for free, but you guys know that every once in a while I go through and find all the free books that I'm interested in on Amazon, and then I post it on my Instagram and in my Discord group. So another reason to join my Discord, which is in my link tree down below. And I'll post when there's free Kindle books. So those are books that you don't have to have Kindle Unlimited for. They were just free that day. And this was supposed to be a little vampire thrill. It was only 190 pages, and it reminded me a lot of Chastely Bitten, which was why I gave it a try. I really like that series, but it's this woman who is a human and she's raised to be a feeder. And basically, like, vampires can either rent humans and they enter a contract where they get that human and they're one of their feeders for a certain time, or they can, like, buy them and then they're theirs, basically. And there's this feeder who she's getting kind of old, as in being like 28 or whatever. And there are different kinds of vampires here. There's the born ones and the made ones. And vampires who are born are a lot more vicious and have less value of human life because they never had to, like, woo humans before. They never had to, you know, hide who they were, and so they're just very vicious. And so our hero, he's a made vampire, and so he does have some reverence for human life. He also remembers when he used to be able to be in the sunlight. And when you feed from a human, you can last a little bit in the sunlight. And so, I don't know, they have this really beautiful, I mean, relationship that's going on. And it is novella length, you know, it's 190 pages, but I thought it was interesting. There's another one in this series, but I don't know if I'll read it because it's not connected to this one. It's a standalone as well. But I did give it 4 stars because it did what it promised me. It was a good, I was reading it as kind of like a palate cleanser because I had just read, you know, all the historicals before then. And I wanted to kind of like level set, so I read this. Then I read Wicked Idol by Becker Gray. This was given to me as a gift, and it's also part of the Midnight Dynasty. And now that I know what the Midnight Dynasty is, which in case you don't, it's these books by Dangerous Press that are all connected through family members. So Lessons in Sin by Pam Godwin, which, you know, I freaking loved, is about the sister of this hero, and they're written by different authors. Jade West, Amelia Wilde, Kay Webster, they all have books in this series. So this one is a high school bully romance about Keaton Constantine, Tinsley's older brother, and Iris Briggs, who is the headmaster's daughter, and she's going to this school for the last year, and she's already dreading it because every school she's went to that her dad's the headmaster, kids are mean to her because they think she's stuck up. And she gets off on the wrong foot with the Hellfire Club, which is, you know, a group of popular boys like it is. And Keaton is actually in a fake relationship with a friend because their parents want them, damn it, because their parents want them to date. So he's in a fake dating relationship. He's not, she has a boyfriend as well herself, but the perception of Iris is that he is taken, and he can't really say otherwise, but you know, things are going to happen. So I enjoyed this. It was a really quick read. I mean, these books, they don't have a ton on, you know, this one was like 270 pages. And it was good. I gave it 4 stars. I mean, stuff just can't compare with Lessons in Sin. And I know they're by different authors and different things, but like, the feeling that Lessons in Sin gave me is what I want out of the Midnight Dynasty. And so I definitely need to dive in to the Amelia Wilde ones, and I need to finish the Jade West series too. Now that I know that they're connected, I need to look at them with new eyes. But I gave this 4 stars. Then I read When Villains Rise by Giana Darling. I read this all in one sitting. This was a 6-star read for me. Dante is #1 my favorite Dante now. Is my favorite Dante. And I actually read a couple Dantes this week. We'll get to some of the other ones. But this was a wonderful conclusion. I enjoyed this so much. This was 6 stars for me. Some of the lines in this book, the patient but demanding lover that Dante is, he just really makes Elena bloom. He makes her feel loved and supported, and then they can do anything together. And I'm in awe. I was one of the lucky people who was able to get one of Giana Darling's boxes for these two, so that's why I don't own them yet. I would have immediately purchased them, but I ordered the box. Yes, I paid the $70 to get the book box with some swag in it, and I can't wait. And it's a hard thing because you kind of had to guess. Like, the first one was out, and then it was like 2 days later that you had to buy the box if you were going to get it. And I'm so glad that I did, because I would have been heartbroken if I didn't get this box. And I still will never read the Affair trilogy. I'm never going to do it, The Evolution of Sin. But I will read the Enthralled duet about Cosima and Alexander, because I'm very interested in them now. And I can't wait for Sebastian's duet, which is a couple years away, I think, but I'm excited for it. So yeah, I freaking love this book. I'm actually not talking about it too much in this because I know I'll be talking about it in favorites books for a long time. But if you know what the first one was about, this is continuing it. And there's a grand gesture that Dante makes that I was like, what are you doing? Like, there's a thing that he does that you don't know is part of the grand gesture. And then when you find out that it was, I was like, mind blown. It was fantastic. Then that same day, oh gosh, was it a good day, because something that happened is I went to visit some friends. So I started one book on audio. I'll show you that book in a second. And then when I got there, I was reading When Villains Rise. And then on the way home, I listened to this book again, and they were both 6 stars. So that book is Never Seduce a Scot by Maya Banks. This was our book club book this month. Quite a few people have already read this book. I know that I was late to the game, but I knew I was going to love it, so I was kind of saving it. I listened to this on audio. This is on Anyplay FM, my friends. If you're still sleeping on Anyplay and you love audiobooks, I don't know why. Like, I don't know why you're sleeping on it, especially if you love romance. They have so many options. But yeah, this one is an arranged marriage between Evelyn Armstrong and Graham Montgomery, and they are forced to get married by the king. Evelyn has been deaf for 3 years, and people don't know she's deaf. They think that she was in an accident and that her brain capacity has been diminished, so they call her daft or touched or this or whatever. And really, she just kind of went along with people saying that because it saved her from an arranged marriage at the time. Now the king is forcing her to marry Graham, but when she sees him, she hears about this arranged marriage, she sees him for the first time, she's able to hear his voice, not the words, but she's able to feel it. And she just has this feeling that he will be good to her, and she becomes very hopeful, and so she goes along with it. And Graham is feeling pretty bad for himself because, number one, he wants to get revenge against this family because her family is responsible for the death of his father, and he just doesn't want this, and he feels like he's entering a bad situation because he hears that she's diminished mentally. That's what he's heard. And he would never force himself on her. But he also wants to be true to his wife and not make a mockery of her. So he's resigned to the fact that he's marrying his enemy and that he will never have children or pleasure for the rest of his life. So there's a lot of weight on Graham's shoulders, you know. And he is a little bit like, poor me. But he also, you can tell he's such a good man just by what his standards are. And so we know that Evelyn is going to be safe for him. And so when it becomes clear to him what's actually going on, gosh, is he obsessed. Because he's like, oh my God. Because he thinks she's beautiful and he thinks she's so sweet. But he's like, she doesn't understand what sex is. Her brain isn't in the right place. Like, I can't force myself on this woman no matter how beautiful I think she is. And so they're starting to form this friendship all without speaking. And then when he figures out that she can read lips and that she can speak, she just can't hear, oh my gosh, does he just dive off the deep end and is like, oh my God, actually, I think all my dreams have come true. And the way that he talks to her, the way that he protects her, the way he defends her from his own people who are pretty pissed that he married this enemy and are pretty cruel to her because they don't think that she can tell him what they're doing. He's such a fierce protector, and it's really beautiful. I'm sorry the sun's doing that. So I knew I was going to love that. Y'all were right. I'm so glad that one was put in to the mix. It was wonderful. Like, oh, I loved it. It was a 6-star read for me. Absolutely. And I did continue the series, which we'll get to in a moment. So then I read The Magic of Discovery by Britt Andrews. This is a reverse harem, paranormal, witch, and then a bunch of guys. I don't want to go too deep into the story for this one. This does have male content in it. It does have MMF content in it and MFL. Like, it has all the things. It starts with 4 men in this one. And they're sent to this town to discover something that's going on. And they are maybe needing to investigate her. But they all start falling for her right away. So this does have a fair bit of insta-lust in it going on. But I did really enjoy a lot of the characters. And I like that there was MMF stuff going on. Because, you know, in my reverse harems, I don't have time anymore for the ones that don't. I just don't enjoy them. Because I want us all to be connected. And this is a case where there is a kind of a couple already within the men, and they all are pretty sexually fluid, we'll just say. You know, even the ones who may mostly prefer women, they don't really mind. So I gave 4 stars to that one. Then I read The Last King by Katee Robert. This is part of her King's series. There's only 2 of them right now. I don't think she'll be adding any more to them because woman's got a lot of stuff going on, and I'm so happy about it. Like, y'all know, I've been championing Katee Robert for 2+ years now, and I am so happy that she's just, her books are in Barnes & Noble, and like TikTok's blowing out for her, and I'm so happy. But anyway, I still am wanting to make it through a lot of her backlist. I own quite a few of them, and so when I find them on audio, because there's quite a few of them on audio, I listen to them. So this was one that I got from my library app, and I have the second one on hold. But this is about Beckett King, and he's inheriting his father's company, but his aunt, Lydia, really wants to take it over. So he's kind of going head to head with his aunt. And his aunt has someone who works for him named Samara Malik. And they end up, at the beginning of this book, they have a one-night stand at this like business event. And then 6 months later is when his dad dies and all this stuff goes down. And Lydia wants Samara to kind of use her relationship with Beckett to find out information, and Samara doesn't want to do that, and that's what we got. This was really fun. It was really sexy. Katee writes really great chemistry. And if you're someone who doesn't want as erotic of books from her, I'm just telling you, her books with Forever really would do that. Like her Mafia series, they're still sexy. She still writes great chemistry, but if you don't want like as much sex or like the BDSM. Sorry, the FedEx guy was just here delivering my food order, so excuse me. But anyway, I think that you could really enjoy her books by Entangled, which she has quite a few. But yeah, so this was pretty good. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Highlander Most Wanted by Maya Banks. So this is the next book after Never Seduce Scot, and the only other book we have in the Armstrong and Montgomery series currently. I did a little bit of research on my own because it's been quite a few years since these books came out, and what I discovered is that this book is kind of on, the 3rd book in the series is kind of on hold indefinitely, even though it's written and like prepared, and that's because there was an issue with her publishers and then like legal rights and all that jazz, and so we don't know when or if we'll ever get it, which is sad because she had a total of 6 books planned for this series and we only have the 2. But anyway, so in case you were wondering why there's only 2, that's why. And it's a bummer. You know, that's why sometimes indie publishing is the best, but that's okay. We won't talk about that. So this one is about Bowen Montgomery, who is Graham's brother. And at the end of Never Seduce Scot, you'll know that there was something that happened at another keep with a laird over there who is a real jackass. And so Bowen is kind of holding down the fort at this keep until they can talk to the king and tell him what's going on and see what he wants to happen with this place. Now there is a woman at this keep whose name is Genevieve, and she has been held captive here for a year. She was stolen by the laird's son and kept as his plaything. And the people of this place think really poorly of her, which is just disgusting, and they never really address that in this one, and it's kind of heartbreaking. But she had something to do with stuff that happened in Never Seduce Scot. I don't want to ruin it. That could really make Bowen pretty angry with her, but they end up falling for each other in this one. And I really, really love this one. It wasn't like a 6-star like Never Seduce Scot, and it wasn't quite a 5-star because this one had a lot more misunderstandings for me, which was a little bit funny because I just read this book where one of the characters literally didn't speak for half of the book and they had better communication. But it's understandable in Highlander Most Wanted just because the nature of what's going on and this woman not trusting men and everything that's happening. So it's relatable, but I still enjoyed it quite a bit, and I gave it 4.5 stars just for those reasons. Then I read Misadventures in Blue by Simone. This was one of my books that I pulled out of my hat, out of my tin, which was Read a Book with Blue on the cover. This is one that I picked up. I've read a couple of the Misadventure books. I've actually read Misadventures of a Curvy Girl by Simone. And a bunch of these books are actually on AnyPlay. Again, plug in AnyPlay for you. And I just decided I wanted to get this one because I had bought it. It was on sale at Barnes & Noble and I bought it, and you know, I pulled it out of the hat. So this one actually is an older woman, younger man. She is a detective and he is a rookie cop. And he ends up calling in a burglary that's a part of a string of things. And then they end up working together. And so he's 23 and she's 38. Or is he older than that? I don't know. But either way, there's 13 years between them. So he might not be 23. Maybe he's 20. Whatever. There's 13 years between them. She had her fiance many years ago. He died in the line of duty. And so she doesn't date cops because she's like, I don't want to have to worry about someone not coming home. Which in my opinion is a little hypocritical because she is also in the force. But whatever. So yeah, they have a really crazy one-night stand in the beginning. And then neither of them can stop thinking about each other. And it's pretty quick. I mean, this is about novella length. It is, you know, just at 200 pages. So it was really fun. I gave this one 4 stars as well. Then I got to read No Time for Caution by Katee Samois. I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm sorry. This is the debut novel for an author partnership. I was reached out by them originally when this was about to come out, so they sent me this copy. This was a copy given to me. It does have an alternate cover if you're looking it up on Amazon. This is a age gap mercenary romance, and it was really cute. Like, I know that's a weird thing to say, but this was kind of cute. So our heroine's name is Riona, and she works she works at a Starbucks in an airport, the night shift, and he's always flying to different places to do jobs, and they start flirting over coffee, and then they end up dating, and then as he like shares who he is, you know, they decide whether they're gonna make a go for it or not. And he has some exes who come to town and fuck around with him. So that's basically this. This one also is about novella length, but it's the first in a new series, and I had a really good time with this. There were a couple things that I had issues with. Number one, it wasn't as steamy as I wanted, but that's okay. The heroine is actually saving herself for marriage, but she's willing to do a lot of other things, which I thought was cool. And she has like reasoning for that, which not that anyone has to have a reason, but I mean, if we're reading romance where we want there to be banging, there kind of has to be a reason. This book actually takes place over like a while as well, which I think is what was difficult, is that it's less than 200 pages and it takes place over quite a while. And then the biggest issue, and this is what might off-put some people, is that it's told in third person, like present tense, which was weird. Okay, it was a choice to do. However, if you can just dive into it, like I said, this was kind of a fun book because there's the banter between them, and the way that it switches between the two of them in the scenes is very interesting. But I just want to warn you that I want you to try this book because I do want to support this duo, and I do want them to write more. You know, this is only their first book and I liked it. I gave this 4 stars. But I just want to be honest about where the hangups were for me, so that if you guys pick this up, you're like, whoa. But it was a ride. Like, one of their dates, right? So he's a trained mercenary. One of their dates is they do laser tag together. And he like lets her get, like, it was cute. This was freaking cute, and I liked it, and it still was like dangerous too. And our heroine was awesome. Like, she was wonderful. And yeah, he just doesn't know quite what to do with this spunky, crazy woman, and he's this old hardened mercenary, and he just falls for her into a puddle. And so it has a lot of things that I love, and so I want to be supportive. You know me, guys, like, I want to be supportive of authors who are willing to do this. So check out No Time for Caution. I actually don't know if it's on Kindle Unlimited or not. I don't know, but it wouldn't be very expensive even if it was. So check out No Time for Caution, okay? Then I continued my historical love here, and I read Passions of a Wicked Earl. This is another one that came out of my jar. I can't remember what the prompt was for this one. I don't know if it was a like marriage in trouble or whatever it was. I can't remember, but this one came out of my TBR tin. And it is the first book in the London's Lovers trilogy or something. Oh, Notorious Lovers trilogy or something. I'm reading, I wanted to get to this one because the third book in this series is Waking Up with the Duke, which is one that I've heard a lot about. Okay, so this one has a bonkers plot, the way that Lorraine Heath likes to do. I also listened to this one on Anyplay, just saying. So this is about Morgan Lyons, who is the Earl, and he had his young bride who he's been engaged to since she was born, but she was only 17 when they got married, and he finds her in bed with his brother on their wedding night. And so he banishes his brother, he banishes her to the country, and he goes to England and lives out his whoring fantasies. He takes mistresses, he does whatever he wants because he's like, you know what, screw that. I can't believe you do that to me. I'm going to do what I want. And then we have our heroine who she has been, you know, living on her own these years that he's abandoned her. And on that wedding night, what he really saw was his brother was comforting her. He had all his clothes on. She had all her clothes on because they were friends, but she was engaged to his older brother. And when she's 17, she didn't have a mother or even a nurse to tell her what's going to happen. And so the 17-year-old child was scared. Okay? So the thing is, she was just hoping for a reprieve. But the thing is, Morgan didn't even give her a chance for that because he banished her and he's like never talked to her since then. So she never even got the chance to explain what happened, but she's still a virgin and now she wants her husband and she wants kids and she wants the life that they were supposed to have. She just didn't know when she was a child that that's what she wanted. So she decides she wants to seduce her husband. The thing is, her husband currently has a mistress who he wants to divorce her to marry because they haven't been together at all. They haven't lived together in all this time, and he doesn't love her, or so he thinks. So when she comes down to seduce him, he's like, well, actually, I want a divorce and I want to marry my mistress because she's a widow and I want to be with her. I don't want to be with you. You cheated on me, you know. Says the man who's been cheating for 3 years, right? But it's Lorraine Heath. And somehow she makes this work. So Claire has a younger sister who needs a husband. And so Claire kind of asked him, well, if you help me, you know, help me get my sister married and then, you know, maybe we'll get a divorce. She has no plans of like wanting to get a divorce, but she wants her sister to be married happily. So what you gonna do? So yeah, there is a trigger for death of a pet in here. I just want to tell you. It's very clear that it's going to happen, by the way. It's not a shock. He has an elderly dog. I'm just telling you, okay? But as soon as the dog was introduced, you're going to know, like, oh, this dog's not going to last very long, okay? So I just want you to know that. It's an important part of his character growth, but you just need to know because it hurt me, okay? Then I read another book on my TBR. I was doing good, guys. I was reading the books on my TBR today. I read Hearts of Darkness by Catherine Wiltshire, which is a mafia book that y'all have been recommending for a while, and I started it. This is the first in the Santiago trilogy. This book is a captor-captive Colombian mafia book. This woman, it's also an age gap. She is the daughter of a DEA agent, and she is a reporter, and through some events her father is supposed to be taken out. Dante, see, here's the other Dante I read. He's supposed to take out her father, and instead she trades herself for him, for her father's life. So he kidnaps her and takes her back to his compound to be his woman. And yeah, that happens. I gave this 5 stars. I really enjoyed this. And it's funny because lately, a lot of the mafia I've read, they've been a bit squishier men, which I love as well. Like, I love when they're the big bad mafia don, but they're pretty squishy. This is not one of those. This is one where there's a lot of hate sex in this book, and there's a lot of pushing your boundaries and a lot of, like, no means yes stuff. So just know that this is not the same as some of the other stuff. So this one definitely has, check the triggers for this one. It is a tough one. But it was so different to some of what I had been reading that I gave it a 5 star. Also, I forgot to mention this one because I skipped over it. I also read Bad by L.P. Lovell and Stevie Cole. This was a book that I followed one of the authors on TikTok, and she had gotten her book banned. Like, their book was banned from Amazon and had to be re-uploaded. And they just said that it was like one of the darkest mafias ever. And it was. It was. It has actually a female mafia boss and a male mafia boss, and they're like from opposing mafias, and she ends up getting kidnapped by him, and she's trying to pretend, because the way it's set up is like she's in charge, but they pretend it's her like brother or whatever, which was interesting. It was interesting. But they were just horrible people. Like, both of them are. Like, it's literally they're bad. There's nothing redeemable in them. There's so many, like, bad things they do to people. Like, honestly, I wanted to throw up the way that they tortured people. And there's no redeeming qualities. It reminded me a lot of, like, when I read Ruthless People. But there was still some soft, squishy parts in those ones that made that, like, I didn't hate that book. I thought they were too cruel. And they deserved what happened to them in Ruthless Peoples. Like, it was tough for me. This one, I literally just wanted them to get, like, firebombed because they were disgusting. So I won't be continuing this series. I gave this one 2.5 stars. And, like, I get why it was banned. I also don't think books should be banned, because it's not like they were worse than what's in some other ones. It is back available on Amazon right now because they put in trigger warnings and re-uploaded it. So you could read it if you want, but I just didn't like it. Then I read The Magic of Betrayal by Britt Andrews. This was the second book in that reverse harem series, and this one didn't hold my attention as much. So there started being a dream realm. I hate dream realm shit. And we were adding another person to the harem. And I never take it well when someone gets added later on. Like, I never do. I want to know everyone from the beginning and then have it work. Okay, because I want to get to know the people. So this is going to have like 5 books in this series, so maybe I'll feel better. Like, I'm gonna continue these, like, I'm gonna continue it, but that's something that I don't like, so I'm just putting it out there. I'm not a big fan of when we add more people to a harem. It's one of the reasons why I, like, stopped reading the Vampire Queen series, because there was so many fucking people in that harem that I didn't care about anybody anymore. It was just orgies all the time. And I'm like, I like smut. I'm here for the smut. But I want to know the individual people. So for me, a harem, I need it to max out at 4 or 5 guys. I prefer 3. But when we get to whatever, it's too many for me, because I don't know whose dick is whose. And then I'm not here for that. So I gave this one 3.5 stars. But like I said, I'm going to continue. Then I read Bombshells by Sarina Bowen. This was also on my TBR. I was just cleaning it up. This is book 7 in the Brooklyn Bruisers series. This one we get to know the female hockey team, which is kind of cool. They're like sharing the arena, and they have games on like opposite days and everything. And our heroine, she is a goalie, and our hero, he is one of the players on the Brooklyn Bruisers. It's Anton Bear, who's like, it's Baby Bear. He's one of the guy's like younger brothers or whatever. And he is cleaning up his act this year, is what he's doing. And so he's just trying to stay out of trouble. She knows, like, one of the guys on the hockey team, Bryce, he grew up with her, and they like always thought that they would be together, but he's like not making a move, and so she's trying to move on. And so her and Anton have a one-night stand, but they're really good friends. And so then they're like, oh no, we don't want to ruin our friendship. And so this just was not my favorite book in this series. I really was bored. And if I hadn't been listening when I was at work and stuff, I probably would have DNF'd this one. It's one of my least favorite Sarina Bowens. I just didn't feel the chemistry between them. And she was trying to get with the other guy for a lot of the book because that's her longtime friend. And then Anton didn't want to get in the middle of it. So he wasn't as alpha as I would like because he's trying to like stay out of the way. And I just don't like that. I like that it was a friends to lovers, but I didn't. So I gave this 3.5 stars. Then I read Whiteout by Adriana Anders. I did, guys. This is a romantic suspense. This is a survivalist story. I think it's funny that in the picture on the front, she doesn't have gloves or a face mask on. And I'm like, literally, you would be dead. You'd be dead. But yeah, a lot of people have read this. It's about Angel Smith, who's a cook in Antarctica for this like team of researchers. And it's kind of like the last day. They're going to be heading out and only the people who winter over are going to stay. And we have our hero, Ford Cooper, who is, I would definitely say he's neurodivergent for sure. Just the way his brain works. I mean, if he's not, he's just extremely antisocial. Like, meh. And he pulls ice cores, and some of the ice cores he pulls have a virus in them. And so there's this team of people that's sent in to get them and get away. And Angel happens to witness some murders happen, and then she gets locked in a place and everyone leaves. And so only her and Ford are left there because there's a fire that happens. So even the people who are going to stay, they evacuate. And so Ford and Angel are stuck there. And there's no power and there's no fuel. And so they need to try to make it to the Russian station. And it is 30 days away. Like, it will take them a month to ski there. If nothing goes wrong. So this was it was an adventure, it was a survival, it was suspense, and I had a great fucking time, guys. I really did. Everyone, I did a message on Instagram, someone asked me how steamy this was. It's not that steamy. There is steam, but like steam is not really allowed to foster when your dick could freeze off in 5 seconds, but they find a way. And I was telling Crystal that one of my favorite things in here was there was a good old-fashioned like make-out session in the sleeping bag. There's only one sleeping bag. Well, there's two, but like they're zipped together and stuff. And I had a great time. I gave this 4.5 stars. And I only took out half a star because yes, it didn't have quite the level of romance I wanted, but I was engrossed. I listened to this in pretty much one sitting. This one I listened to on Scribd. Anyplay, it says it's on Anyplay, but the file isn't available, so I think it must have got removed or whatever. But this was a great ride. I had a wonderful time. And the reason why I listened to this one is that I have an arc of Uncharted, which is about a female pilot, and then there's a situation that happens in Alaska. She's part of their team that gets put together. And I'm loving that one. I'm already reading that one and I'm loving it. So I give this 4.5 stars. I had a great time. It isn't the level of steam that I would want, but I love survival stories, really. I love we're stranded together, forced proximity, stuff like that. So this actually fed a lot of my like favorite things. And then the last one that I finished last night was That Kind of Guy by Talia Hibbert. This was the last book in the Ravenwood series, trilogy, whatever. And this is an older woman, younger man. This has a hero who is asexual, who is, oh crap, I just forgot. But he's on the asexual scale. What is it? I can't remember. I'm so sorry. But basically, he wants to have a deep connection with someone before he sleeps with them. And he went through a period where he was really fighting that, and so he acted kind of like a little bit of a man whore, and he has a reputation, and now he's coming to realize that he's not going to just give his body away anymore to make people happy. He's going to make sure that he has a deep connection before he does that, which is just, it's beautiful. And then we have our heroine, who is 40-year-old divorcee. She's a writer, and she has POTS, which I will not be able to pronounce the all the words in this, but it's actually a disability that one of my friends has. So I know that she really loves this book because the representation was really good, she said. And this becomes like a fake dating story because she needs to go to this fantasy writers convention. But her ex-husband and his new family is going to be there. And so our hero, Zach, agrees to go with and be her fake dating. And while they're there, stuff happens. So this was actually my least favorite one in the series. And I feel weird saying that because it's like, even on Goodreads, this is everyone's like favorite one. I still love the first one the best, and that's people's least favorite. So I'm contrary, I guess. Let me know if you feel the same as me. But I didn't dislike this. I gave it 4 stars. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I just wasn't as engrossed in this one as I was in the first one. It felt kind of the same as the second one for me. Like there was just... I don't know. I don't know what it was. It just didn't quite work for me the same way the other ones did. But I love this series for all the representation that it does have involved. You know, this is an interracial relationship. The conversations that get had are amazing. I think for me, it's part of it is like when there's too many conversations happening in one book, it just can be a lot and I can lose the romance a little bit. Once the romance was happening, I was here for it, but then there was a misunderstanding that just really popped my balloon of enjoyment, and I feel like then the apology and the HEA was just way too fast. Like this book was just too short is my issue, because I was just getting back into it, and then it was like happy ever after for everybody, and I'm like, okay. So sorry to be a Debbie Downer, but I still love the first one the most, and come at me if you feel differently. So there we go. That is everything I read this week. Let me know what your favorite book you read this week was. And yeah, make sure you check out my links down below. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up anytime. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.